Cusp 2015, embracing the storms of design. Ha ha ha, yes. And don't tell me there aren't any storms of design in your life. They're all over the place. Cusp 2015 is an opportunity for us to decide, are we going to embrace the storms of design or are we going to run away from them? What is our attitude going to be? They're all over the place. Front page of the New York Times, ISIS chemical strike. Here we go. Yesterday in Wall Street Journal, embattled DuPont boss. All sorts of corporate storms in this world. Battle brews atop Viacom. And then we have the tepid growth in China's yum. And then we have another storm of bribery case hits the UN. Strike tonight at Chrysler. VW warns workers this will be rough. Oh yeah, I'll bet it will. And yes, the West Bank, another problem. Oregon shooting. The whole situation with a scandal at FanDuel and DraftKings. All wonderful stuff. And we have the South Carolina storms. We have a clot risk in heart valves. We have the disheveled CEOs of Air France because the workers storm Air France offices as job cuts are discussed. So what do? We can embrace the storms. The storm that happened in C.C. Sabathia's life that he's embraced. And if you heard about this, or you're not a baseball fan, he just went into rehab the day before the playoffs. And his comment was, I want my kids and my family to know I'm not too big of a man to ask for help. That's a person who's modeling an approach to the storms in our lives. Now we've got global storms, we've got national storms, and we've got local and personal storms. I'm Mike Ivers, CEO of the Yuma Community Food Bank. Our unemployment rate in August was 26.9, up from 26.0 last year. 39.4% of the children who live in Yuma don't know where their next meal's coming from. It's a very serious situation. Our building used to be a paper plate factory. So I asked people to put their stories on the paper plate and to let us see what's going on. Here's one that came in on September 23rd this year. I moved here 3 weeks ago with my 3 children from California. We are victims of domestic violence. We came without anything but the little bit of money that I had saved in order to leave. We stayed at a hotel for 5 days until we were able to find a 1-bedroom apartment. But this used all the rest of the money we had. A neighbor told me about the food bank, and now we have something to eat. September 26th, I'm a Vietnam veteran on a fixed income. If it weren't for the food bank, I would starve to death. August 29th, I have a family of 3, myself, my spouse, and son. I am the only person who is gainfully employed. My husband is dying. My son is autistic and epileptic. September 26th, I am here to pick up food for my brother. He had to deal with the abuse of my father, who brought the Korean War home. At the age of 6, my brother was my dad's drinking buddy. He joined the military. My brother has his honorable discharge, but he can't cope with people. So he lives in my parents' house with no water, limited electricity, and no food. And the last one that came in on August 25th. I'm here today because of meth. I am a grandmother of a daughter who is currently unable to stay free of meth. So the CPS office has stepped in and the 3 children are in our care. My husband and I are 55 years old, raising a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 6-year-old. They will be adopted by us. Thank you, Food Bank, for all you do so children don't go to bed hungry. I hate meth and how it destroys family. So now that I have you totally depressed and hopefully aware of the fact that as bad as your storm is, there are those that are much worse. And yet, it's because of people who dare to embrace the storms. A kid walked in my office in June, and he said, Mr. Ivers, I want to throw a rock concert at the food bank. Are you crazy? You're only going to add to the stress in my life. He did it on September 29th. It was a huge success. Samuel Mason walked into my office and said, Mr. Ivers, I'm a Navy cadet, and I volunteered here. You know, I'm 12 years old, and I just want you to have this. My mother gave me these $36.75 to play video games, but I want to help feed the hungry in Yuma. And then this last little storm embracer, my most valuable contribution, a little girl in second grade at one of the schools I was speaking at, says, Mr. Ivers, can I see you? Teacher brought her up to me. She said, I took all these coins out of my piggy bank, and I want to feed a hungry child. That's what keeps me going. That's what helps me get through the storms. And each and every one of us have support systems that help us. But the storms of design are real. Everybody walked in here today with a different storm. I had a big one on May 25th this year. I had a stroke. And yes, I was in Hawaii visiting my granddaughter. And at 3:30 in the morning, got up to pee and couldn't walk. And my wife said, what are you doing? I said, I'm trying to get to the bathroom, and I'm not having a lot of success. Now, my wife is a family medicine doc. She has her master's in public health, and people say to me all the time, that's so wonderful, you're married to a doctor. No, it's not. I have a physical 30 times a day. What's this? What's that? Eat this, eat that. Are you kidding me? But thank God she was with me on that night. 5 baby aspirin, and sit still and don't move on the bed. I said, honey, I don't have any clothes on. There's a towel. Don't worry about that. Don't move. First time in my life, I think I listened to her. And I'm glad I did, because I know too many people who wanted to wait till they could see their doctor, or wanted to wait because they thought it would go away. And now they are severely damaged because of that. Some people think it costs too much money. So I walked in on May 25th to Straub Hospital on Oahu and couldn't walk. Could not sign my name, could not feed myself. 2 days later, I was discharged in a walker. Was back to work on June 8th, 10-hour days. Somebody said, that's a lot. I said, yeah, but it's not 15-hour days, which is what I was working. It was an embolic stroke. I just got a physical before we went. No cholesterol issues, no blood pressure issues. 68 years of bad eating, I'll tell you that. So now my life has totally been redesigned. And I invite you to approach Cusp as an opportunity to redesign your life and to look at the design issues and divide them into 2 categories, which I've divided in my life. There are 2 categories in my life now, BS and AS, before stroke and after stroke, or bullshit and absent shit, or before stress and after stress. Before stress, Ricka Benny's fried steak. Yeah, awesome. Freddy's Italian sausage and beef combo. Home Run Inn pizza. Fat Johnny's hot dogs. Ice cream, ice cream, ice cream, and more ice cream. And now it's in the after stroke. I had a veggie sandwich for lunch today. I had veggies. I eat veggies all the time. I had unsalted veggie stew. I had grilled eggplant, broccoli, 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 and more broccoli. So our lives change, but it also changed my attitude to people. And there's a BS and an AS to that aspect of life too. I had a gentleman come up to me, 2 doctorate degrees, university professor, very brilliant individual. Before he even said hello to me, he found out that I was a CEO at the food bank. First words out of his mouth is, Mike, how many people cheat? How many people abuse the system? I said, sir, I've been here 3 years. I haven't met anybody who abuses the system or cheats. That was before stroke. Now, after stroke, I have a new attitude. If I run into him again or anybody else with a similar comment, sir, you better be careful about what comes out of your mouth, because it says more about you as a human being than it does about the situation. And by asking that question, you've just absolved yourself from having to get involved in the lives of the hungry in Yuma. So come on down to our food bank and see what we do and help solve the problem of hunger in Yuma. Strokes change your lives, but I was one of the fortunate ones. My neurologist scares the hell out of me every time I talk to him. Says, yeah, you had jagged formation, only 40% blockage, and one of your platelets just went whoop. And if it had gone down another way, you'd be dead. I said, thank you very much, doctor. I really appreciate that. But the bottom line is we have to change. We have to I've had to redesign my life. And I've lost 30 pounds and my clothes are too big because I'm going to lose even more. Do I like doing that? No, of course not. Well, why are you doing it then, Mike? Because I want to stay alive, thank you. And today is an opportunity at Cusp for each and every one of us to redesign our lives, but to be aware of the storms of design that exist in our lives. That's what's the important thing. So, let's do that. Let's set the stage. And there are a lot of storms out there, let me tell you. If you saw the CNN show, unbelievable what's going on in the texting world, the digital age. So I went to designers and I asked them to share with me some of the storms in their lives. And it was very interesting. It was people from all over the world of design. The first person was a communicator and a writer. And their first response was, I don't have any storms in my design life. And then after we talked a little bit, then they said, well, you know what? There is one. I'm writing a book, and I've been writing this book for 10 years. And the BS part of it is exactly that. Every time I think about it, I freak out. The book is about reducing fear in the workplace. She works at Amazon. But anyway, that was supposed to be funny. But anyway, it's something she's done for the last 20 years in her life. But now she said, this is good, Mike, because you're motivating. Even though my cover will be blown when I write this book, I have to do it to make a difference. Then I talked to another designer, and I shared that with him. What are some of the storms of design in your life? He says, you know, Mike, I think about that every day. He says, I really do. I think about it in terms of career, dollars, prosperity. I want to help others. But right now, it's really tough. I'm driven by providing for my family in the pursuit of the dollar. When I want to really help others, what are my God-given talents pushing me to go and do? I used to teach and I loved it. But now the clients have taken over and the pursuit of them have taken over my entire life. Having a stroke forces one to look at life's priorities. And Cusp 2015 hopefully will be that opportunity for each of you. An opportunity to reinvigorate yourselves. An opportunity to reinstill inquisitiveness into your life. To be more intentional. What purpose, what reason did you come to Cusp? Hopefully it's focused. Who's a person of vision, energy, and talent that you can meet here who can be contagious and rub off on you? I went to a banker, and I said, yeah, so what's the BS and the AS in your life? Well, I'll tell you what the BS is. It's struggling in volatile rate markets, finding an easy solution to make the money work for limited and low rates. That's the BS part. The after-stroke part would be to take advantage of the lower rate and make it utilized by other banking resources and looking to see it for the credit facility to help a group expand or repair themselves or better a struggling neighborhood. And then the individual shared, yeah, another BS part of my life in design is I'm trying to design my life and I got to take tests to reach certain things. And I've been putting it off. Now I'm going to try to go ahead and finally do it. So I have another individual who's president of a major home building company in this country. He says, yeah, I got a lot of storms of design in my life. He said, basically, as a home builder, I can put it in a few words. On the one side, the BS is to sell. And on the other side, the AS is to live well. Let me tell you a story. He says, so we wanted to improve the designs of our homes. So we went to the mothers, the women, the wives, and we talked to them about their kitchen. And they all hated the corner kitchen sink that we have in our homes. They can't see their kids playing in the yard. They can't reach out or over the sink to open the windows. So we designed a kitchen with the sink in the middle of it. Brought all those individuals back, and 100% of them liked the kitchen sink in the middle. Then they brought in potential new home buyers, and 100% liked the corner kitchen sink. So the marketing guy said, hey, we have to design what sells, not what lives well. They are not always the same thing. And I'm sure that's an issue for many of you. Know your job. Take this time at Cusp to figure out your job. And are you designing what sells, or are you designing what lives well as human beings? Whose needs are we meeting? Are we meeting our needs or the needs of the client? And then he shared another story about, oh, Mike, everybody loves to help the environment. So we told our homeowners, hey, you know what? We're going to give you a bonus of $5,000 when the home is built. And here's what we're going to do with it. You get a choice to decide what we do with it. You can either spend that $5,000 on granite countertops, or we will spend that $5,000 on sustainable practices to have low impact to the environment. 97% of the individuals picked granite countertops. That's what happens in the world. Another storm in the design world was mentioned yesterday in the Financial Times by Andrew Hill. Designers, for instance, often start as inspirational leaders, directing a small group to implement their vision. But above a certain size, most creative enterprises burst out of the studio or workshop and face the sort of commercial challenge familiar to more humdrum businesses. Even then, if the identity of the designer is a vital part of the product's attraction, the creator must sometimes jump back to reinvigorate the brand. And then another friend goes around the country doing trainings on design thinking. I know many of you know that. Empathize, define, delete, prototype, test, teamwork, a big part of it. Imagine what could be, immerse yourself with the user, observe what's going on, digital products. And I said, well, what's a storm with this design thinking concept? And the person said, Mike, one I see every day. How do large corporations innovate? Many of them can't anymore. And then how do small companies survive? A real challenge. Constantly needing to be in touch. Another storm I see is inventors and designers and creators who are so in love with their invention and their product that their ego gets in the way. It's not how we design a better shopping cart. How might we redesign the experience of shopping? Artists have to be aware of the buyer. And so, this is an opportunity for you at Cusp 2015 to germinate within you new ideas, fresh ideas. Explore them. Take advantage of the breaks. Talk to one another. Listen to one another. Do not be on your cell phones in break time. Leave your computer alone. I highly recommend this new book, and I was in a storm last night trying to get it with my sister, Reclaiming Conversation, The Power of Talk in a Digital Age by Sherry Turkle. An excellent book. I haven't read all of it, but it's definitely something that I want to identify with. So I had already read reviews and done research on it, but was out walking with my sister last night. She wanted to see if I really survived my stroke. Well, we walked 11 miles, so thank you very much. I said, very good, let's go see if I can get this book. Went to a couple bookstores, couldn't find him. Finally went to Barnes & Noble, and they said, yeah, it came in today. I said, all right, hot off the press. Took us 45 minutes to find it because it was on some shopping cart somewhere, headed for the shelves. Well, I got it, fortunately. And I highly recommend reading it because she's talking about the digital damage that happens in our lives. I love technology. You're here because of technology. Technology is important and eye-opening and wonderful. But sometimes, she did studies, it gets in the way of conversation. And you need conversation to develop empathy. Back to the empathy. Feeling into another human being's life situation. Do that at Cusp 2015. Spend time in the conversation breaks. Share with one another. Engage with one another. And go out there and take advantage of this opportunity, because guess what? You might have a stroke on the way home. And you might not have this opportunity again. I'll tell you right now, redesigning my life is kind of fun right now because it's going pretty well. But I don't know if it could end when I leave here immediately to catch a 3 o'clock flight to Minneapolis for a Feeding America convention and have another stroke on the way there. Who knows? I don't know. I know that I'm doing everything I can to stay alive. Are we doing everything we can to be fresh as designers, to tap the creative juices within us, to be imaginative, to use the opportunity we have to make a difference in this world? How about it if we say it was at Cusp 2015, I walked out of that conference a better human being, a better designer than when I walked into that conference. Thank you very much.